Guys, have you heard about the new movement towards better habits? Because it's being led by the sponsor of today's video, Fume. I'm not going to give you a hard time for having a bad habit. We've all got bad habits, but what if I could tell you there was an alternative that would help you kick that bad habit? Fume is an award-winning flavored air device that draws flavor to your mouth, not to your lungs. It's a great way to satisfy your fixation with non-toxic flavors, free from nicotine or vapor, and it's safe to use anywhere. My favorite flavor is crisp mint. It's refreshing and it's satisfying, and it doesn't come with any of the harmful effects that you would associate with some of those other less guilt-free devices. Fume fills the void when you're trying to ditch a bad habit, and it's backed by doctors throughout the U.S. Fume has already helped over 300,000 people develop better habits. I encourage you to try the Journey Pack today, and if you use my code Chael, you will get a free Fume topper, which is an awesome accessory that's going to help to level up your experience. Go to tryfume.com/Chael, or scan the QR code on the screen. Eddie Hall versus Dillon Danis, okay? They were set for an MMA showdown. Now, this is what I get. I get the news after it. I get the news, but the news is that there's no showdown. There's no match. And I almost wish I wouldn't have even heard about it because I love it. I don't know what those two were going to do. It was MMA. But I would never have to question it if it involves Eddie. Like, Eddie does not get enough credit. Eddie is everything you would want in a guy and nothing you generally get out of the strongest, biggest guy in the room. Generally, the biggest, strongest guy in the room got that way to do intimidation, to be treated with a certain respect by others. It's really effective. Like, that is very much how men often work. We will definitely look to the biggest. We will look to the strongest. If you're both, you're probably getting treated with a lot of respect everywhere that you go. Can you understand that? But I don't know Eddie. But if I wanted to go put Eddie in a headlock right now and give him a noogie, like joke around, I would be very confident that he would find that funny. Now, that's a little bit of a weird example, but do you understand my point? Like, Eddie Hall's down for anything. He is not like that big, strong meathead that sits in the corner and got to be the biggest, strongest guy in the room. He's not. He'll mix it up. What do you want to do? You want to play horseshoes? Challenge Eddie Hall. You'll be playing horseshoes. You want to play him in tennis? Challenge him. He will show up and play you in tennis. They had two people challenge him to a 2-on-1 handicap match, fight in a cage. And he showed up. They've had people that have wanted to arm wrestle him. Now that's putting everything on the line. Like with men, even if who could do more push-ups, even if that's a great metric, we don't care. Even if we'll say who could do most pull-ups, maybe that's a really good metric. We don't care. What do you bench? Can you beat him in arm wrestling? That is how we as men will determine who's stronger. So for Eddie Hall to be the world's strongest man and then go into arm wrestling, which when you get to that level is so much about technique. There's so much more that goes to it. It is not just the test of strength that the human race has decided it is. It's actually a sport. So when you get a guy that's nowhere near as strong as Eddie, but he can get the jump on Eddie, you could see how that'd be very bad for Eddie. Eddie does not care. Eddie will put his arm on the table and wrestle you. And if you go ahead and beat him and do whatever you want with the video. I've never seen a guy in my life that is more of a sport. Never a guy like that. Never the biggest, never the strongest. Those guys, they're never any fun. You can't joke around with them. You can't do so. You can't give them a noogie. Daniel's that way. Daniel Cormier is the baddest dude in the room, as long as I'm not in the room. But you can play with him. It's a very cool thing. It's actually Daniel's superpower. It's why you guys love him as an announcer. He's a solid announcer. I'm sure you could find other people that are solid announcers. That's his superpower. You can tell there's a kid inside who's a fan. And through an adult body is living his dream of being in the sport. You can feel that. But it's the same way with Eddie Hall. I could not be a bigger... Brian Shaw's not far away, by the way.
I mean, those two guys have fallen out of the same tree. They will put all their strongmen and everything on the line. I bring Brian Shaw to it because I watched him arm wrestle. I watched him go right up there and arm wrestle. And in guy world, that's a really big deal. Whoever wins is now stronger, even if that isn't true. Whoever wins an arm wrestling match is now stronger. And so I just say, when you got somebody like Shaw or you got somebody like Eddie, you can challenge Eddie to a food eating contest. I mean, I'm trying to think of all the different things that I have seen Eddie Hall be challenged to, where somebody pulls out a camera and somebody thinks they're going to stump him or make him look like a fool. He has never been made to be stumped or look like a fool. He does not care. He will let you kick him in the leg just so he can test what your power is. And if it brings him all the way down, if he falls, he doesn't care. Like, I really don't feel that Eddie Hall gets enough credit for just being an overall cool guy. Like, in the world of cool guys, so whatever he and Dillon were going to do, I love the idea. I love the rule set of MMA, right? Help that size and strength, help balance that out a little bit. We would get that as viewers, right? We would be willing to spot Dillon Danis some experience, considering all the size that he's giving up. And there's something there. There's a press conference waiting for you. There's a stare down waiting for you. There's a media day. There's a level of content. And whoever lost this match, I'm sorry you lost it, but get it back.